G'day. It's another one of my little projects here. It's been on the go for a while. It's a 1968 case 580Ck loader backhoe combination. It's got a 188 diesel engine in it. Now the story on this is it was parked for about 15 maybe more years in the bushes, actually just over in that area beside where that old truck is over there. It was up in there, and there's an old guy had it, and he got, you know, he used to use it in his younger days, but he got in his later years he wasn't using it, and it just sat there, and then he passed on here half a dozen years ago. So I looked at it one day and I thought, oh man, it's pretty rusty. All the hoses are done, and do I even want to get into this? But I made an offer, and they grabbed it. So I said, okay, I'll take a chance and see what I can get done. So there's some, you know, like the seat was completely rusted out. Oh, I got another spot I'll show you here after. I got the tank out. I had to get the tank out to access some of this stuff down in here, and that's pretty rusty. But and as you can see here, I haven't gone over this one, you know, right here, but I've gone over some of the other areas that were really rusty, and I just happen to have this yellow paint. That's not my choice paint for this job, but I thought it would protect it while I'm picking at it. Another thing I've done here is on the cylinders. Now, a lot of you won't like this, but on the cylinders there was a little bit of mild pitting, you know, here and there, and there's one actually on the swing cylinder back there. It's quite heavily pitted, so that'll probably have to be rebuilt or have the shaft changed in it at some point. But for the ones that are just lightly pitted, what I did was I cleaned them up and I greased them, because I mean, for the time it takes me, like this has been sitting here, it's about 2 years now, and I've been picking at it, and among 1,000 other jobs. And so I just keep them greased. And just the other day what I did was I wiped off all the old grease, because it gets water in it, and I re-greased them. And so that'll help save those cylinders. They're all pretty good under that grease. There's the 188. Now I've had a few issues with this. Very simple stuff. It's got primer on the engine, so I think at some point the old guy must have had it out and rebuilt it. So, but there's no, I didn't get any history on this at all. No. I have the registration, but I don't have any history on the mechanics of it or anything. So anyway, I haven't started it yet. I have done some preliminary things that you would do. I've cleaned it up. I took all the leaves and junk off the engine, and I dumped out the oil. The oil was good. There was antifreeze in the rad, and it was full to the top, so I've got that drained out of there. Now I took the rad out to get out. I had to get, well, I can see it here, but get in under here. Yeah, I took out this is where the hydraulic pump goes. So I took the hydraulic pump out, and I took the rad out, and the reason is there's a pulley here on your water pump up here, and it had been laying with leaves and stuff in it for years, and it had completely rusted out the pulley. And if anybody knows these tractors, you really can't reach down in there very well, and you know, basically taking the rad out was the best thing I could do. So I took the rad out, and that's I think it doesn't leak. I'm gonna do a little pressure test on it someday before I put it back in. And the fuel was really bad. The fuel was all full of stuff, and probably the worst is you know, the hoses and stuff like that. You know, some of these pipes, the hoses are shot, and a lot of the pipes, the hydraulic pipes that run in different places on the tractor, are rusted through. So what I will do though is, like I say, when I get the engine started, that'll be another video. I'll make sure to have that filmed live, or get it on film anyway the day I turn it over. But I've been able to, it rolled over by hand, and I've got a starter on it, and I've been able to crank it over with the starter, and so it's free. My guess, you know, if the injection pump isn't completely clogged up, it should go. You know, no one's fiddled with this. No one's played with this. This was running the day it was parked over there. You know, almost 20 years ago now. So I'm gonna guess that it'll go. Anyway, like I say, I took out the steering column. I've got that here, and I was looking at that just the other day. So there's the steering column with the pedals, and this is the top of it here. Now there's a power steering pump on the engine, and there's a steering valve in here that's connected to your steering wheel. So I was able to get that out, and the hub, the whole steering wheel was rusted right onto the shaft here. So there was just the hub left, and so I had to grind that off, and I got that off. I got that over in a vise over there. I can show you that after. But some of these linkages were seized up. So the throttle and stuff here, this was seized up. I got that all free again. So that all works. I'm going to clean that up before I put it back in. And like I say, all the cylinders, like I say, they're all on it. I haven't tried them, like these, the outriggers here. I haven't tried them. Like I say, it hasn't been started yet. So, and like I say, here's these the swing cylinders. There's one here. This one on this side is not so bad. I got it greased up, but the one on the other side is got pits in it. So that'll just tear the seal out of it. So I'll probably have to, before I get into that, I'll make sure the engine's running good and everything else is doing what it needs to do before I get into rebuilding that that swing cylinder. But the other ones here, the main and the one for the dipper and the one for the bucket, they're okay. The bucket's a little thin. It's like I say, I just, on the outside I had some rust converter. I put that on there, and the intention is here to clean out the inside of the bucket and get some kind of a rust paint on there just to preserve it for now. What I did here, when I first got a hold of it, there was water sitting in it, so I drilled a hole here, just like a 3/8 hole in the bottom, and that's taking care of the water, so it doesn't hold water in the bucket anymore. And what else can I show you? What else can I show you here? Yeah, so like I say, everything's there. All the controls for the backhoe are there, and the pedals for the swing on this, they were seized up, but I got them to move, and so it's just a matter. It sat so long, everything just got really rusty and seized up, and it was sitting outdoors, like I say, in the bushes. I got a picture here somewhere of it, all the blackberry bushes growing through the cab here when I first laid my eyes on it. But I got the console out too. That sits behind the fuel tank and on top of the steering column, and that's pretty rusty too. Actually, I got it over here on the bench. I can show you. But yeah, I have my hopes that the engine will go. Let's just take a look over here. So there's the gauge panel. It's pretty rusty. You see here all the deep pits in it and stuff. But because it is original, I'm gonna rust proof it and paint it, and for now anyway, I maybe, not when I get it running, but after, if I think it's viable, if the tractor seems like it's going to go. Or, like I say, I may look online and see if I can pick one up. What I did do here is, to get ready for starting it up, was I got an oil pressure gauge hooked up. Just got it sitting here for now, right there. Yeah, all pretty Mickey Mouse right now. There's a leak right here around this boot, around the shifter, so I bagged it. I think it's okay for now. But like I say, the worst of it is sitting with fuel in it for all those years, and then just sitting in the elements, and the rust just, you know, rust never sleeps, right? So that was digging at it all that time. When I first got it out of the bush there, I water blasted it. I pressure washed everything off. Got all the sorts of, it was caked in here with leaves and stuff, and so that's what rusted out that pulley I was talking about, the pulley on the water pump. It I don't know if you can see it here, but yeah, right here, the pulley, it was just full of leaves and wet leaves at that, and it had just rusted right through the pulley. So I had to buy that. And anyway, that's a preliminary look at this thing. It's oh, another thing I did here was I was trying to get the bucket off the ground so I could move it around a bit, because I yanked it out with a bigger truck. I got it as far as here one day, but the bucket dragged the whole way. So what I did was I disconnected all the rams, and I tried to lift it with a jack, and the whole tractor lifts. So what's happening is this shaft along here, the main pivot shaft here, is seized. So I tried to, there's a pin that goes through there that comes out, that's fine, but there's bushings here, one on either side. Somehow it's seized. So, you know, if that would pivot, I could jack this up and get the bucket off the ground. And then the other idea was, I thought I would do is just take the pins out of the bucket. And I started that one day, and then I thought, oh well, what if that falls? So anyway, it's like one of these things. I don't do this full time. I just pick at this when I have a minute. And but I'm kind of determined to get this thing, you know, figured out this year. I want to get this thing started, see what's up with the engine. If that'll run, that'll tell me a whole bunch of other stuff. Oh, another thing I did here too, just getting ready for it, was these are lines that come out of the shuttle clutch, and I think that's what it's called, the shuttle clutch transmission in this thing, and it pumps fluid out here to, I think, the cooler on the front, and that was all toasted. So I just got a piece of hydraulic hose and just jumped it, right? Because it's a positive displacement pump down there. I don't want to just block the holes. I want it to circulate. So I just did this. I put a short loop there so that when it starts, it doesn't just spray all the hydraulic fluid out, but at least it's got a, you know, it can it's not going to hold the pump back. It'll just circulate through that hose for now. And, you know, you can't run it for long. You can't do any work with it like that, but at least you can start the engine, because that will there's a pump in there that turns with the engine, right? So there's no disconnecting that particular hydraulic pump that runs that. The one that goes on the front here is your running all your hydraulics, like your bucket, your boom, and if you had PTO stuff, you could do it with that too. Anyhow, that's just a warm-up on that. I'll keep you posted as I move forward on this project as well. Take care. See you again.